Hi, Thumos gentlemen. Welcome back. Hope you're doing amazing. So, creating content. If you're going to go down the road of creating content, I just want you to know that it can be a difficult adventure. Sometimes it is difficult to come out with the newest thing. Part of what YouTube does is give you this feeling like you need to constantly be innovative and you need to blow people's minds or you need to be really entertaining. And that can be a lot, because to be honest, sometimes I don't feel like blowing anyone's mind. Sometimes I don't feel like talking. Sometimes I don't feel like being entertaining. And that's okay. That's not natural in human life. So what I really try to do is just talk when I have something an insight that I think I need to share and that can be helpful and possibly something that you might be able to relate with. So with that being said, I do have something to share. Sometimes when I have something to share, I'm not always sure how I should share it. I'm not sure how I should say it. So let's just start with the yo-yo. I've been working on this trick, by the way. Looks like this. Something like that. We'll do it one more time. The thing with yo-yoing is that in order to be good at yo-yoing, you kind of got to learn to flow. And when you learn to flow, it looks really nice. A lot of yo-yoers are skinny because they do a lot of this stuff that goes around the arms, which for me, having bigger arms, it kind of looks clunky and a little bit weird. But regardless, you're trying to make things look smoother. You're trying to make the simple look amazing. And it's really cool to have this sense of flow in this creation that I discovered. My favorite thing about it is that it's kind of low stimulus, low like impact on the mind, as far as I could be playing a video game or I don't know, doing something on the internet. But right now I just have a string in my hand and a yo-yo that's spinning on a bearing. And so you're trying to make something out of this really simple device that's not electronic in it. It's very cool once you get the hang of it. When you first start, it's like very clunky. You can't really bring it back and whatnot. So anyway, the reason I'm saying this is because I do believe a lot of you would benefit from some sort of skill toy or maybe even learning an instrument or having a practice in your life that causes you to slow down. Because there's something beautiful about slowing down. There's something really nice about slowing down and getting to know yourself and just getting to know the soul of things and kind of the spirit, how your mind is when it's calm. Instead of just kind of jump into the next thing, and there's sort of a freeing up of the mind when you are slowing down. And the reason I mention this is because the yo-yo is one of those things that when in my life, when I would say that I'm going monk mode, which I'm going monk mode, I'm in monk mode. I need to be in monk mode. And when I say that, it's really a way of living. A way of living that is meant to eliminate distractions from your life. It's meant to really help you get in there and have hyper focus. I talked about this a little bit yesterday in our live talk. I was talking about how good it feels to have hyper focus in your life. And the best way that I can explain this is when I was in competitive bodybuilding. Like, I felt so alive because I had an end goal in sight. And it was very simple. Like, I had a bodybuilding show in about 3 months. So in that 3 months, life took on a very routine, predictable pattern. I had to count my calories. I had to get up same time. Had to get a shake in, get some meals in. I had to be really mentally prepared for training. So what that meant was I wasn't hanging around a lot of friends and doing a bunch of crazy stuff. I was dialed in and focused, and that felt amazing. I lived for that time. And it was weird because after that was over with, it was almost like, all right, I'm being introduced back into the real world, and now I've got to try to make that same, I've got to give myself a mission again, you know what I mean? And that can sometimes be a bit difficult. You're not sure what to do, what to focus on. So what I've realized is that we can make, or that bodybuilding is sort of a microcosm of hyper focus, and that you can apply that to your life. That same sort of pattern, that same sort of routine. That's really where I started to think about what monk mode is. And I didn't come up with the term monk mode, but I sort of applied it just to my life in a way that it would serve me. So the monk mode principles of eliminating distractions. And part of the reason we eliminate distractions is so that we can focus on one thing. One or two things, and this is where the Pareto principle comes into play, is that you're only going to really benefit and get the most bang for your buck from about one or two things that you're doing, which means that not everything matters. Not everything is as important as they seem. And that's really deceptive when you think that everything is important, because in reality it's not. So monk mode is about eliminating distractions so that you can focus on getting some stuff done. But the thing is, you don't go monk mode for your whole life. It's not something that you need for your entire life. It's more about usually months at a time, maybe 6 months, 8 months, maybe 75% of the year you're going monk mode. And usually I think 20s are the best for monk mode, the monk mode lifestyle. And what you can do is begin to cultivate a ritual of inevitability, we call it. And so the ritual is a daily ritual that what you're doing is you're exercising your will, you're exercising your vision. We could even make this video a part of the Portals of Transformation series, because number 5 is cultivating a ritual of inevitability, where every day you're putting in a little deposit of energy, of your time, of action, and that's accumulating. And so after a while, you see that your heart's desire begins to take shape. You begin to sculpt something from nothing, right? You begin to see that you are creating something that was before just an idea. And I think that's why Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, you need to start with an idea. It starts with a thought. Thought precedes the action. The action precedes the growth, the cultivating of something beautiful. So now if you start to look at your life as, okay, every day is a ritual. Every day is a time for me to wake up and use this day as a day to do my one thing. And this is coming from the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller, which I've talked about many times on this channel, but I think is so bloody important, man, is you ask yourself a very simple question. You ask yourself, what is the one thing that I could do that by doing would make everything else easier or unnecessary? So you ask yourself that, what's one thing in your life that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? And you got to think about that. That takes some really deep analysis on maybe what problems you have. And maybe it's not so simple. Maybe you need to just like get some stuff knocked out first. Like maybe you need to fix your car because your car is holding you back from being able to go and get a job interview. Or maybe you need to get a car. Or maybe what you need to do before that is just get your license. And maybe you can use your mom's car, but you've been putting that off, right? So now you have this mountain in front of you, you know that you want to hit, but you don't have the vehicle, literally the vehicle, to get you to the top of the mountain. And that overwhelms you. So sometimes you just need to solve the most small problems and be real with yourself and brave enough to face those. Sometimes it's just getting on the phone. If it's trying to move out of your house and calling up an apartment place or apartment hunting, trying to find something that you could live. Or maybe it's just like gym clothes. Like you don't have the gym clothes, so you don't go to the gym, or you have uncomfortable shoes, so you stop going to the gym. In other times, what you need from unload is to really just, again, eliminate distractions. You put the PS4 in the closet. You unsubscribe from the services. You uninstall the video games. And what you're doing is now you're affirming to your will. You're saying, all right, I'm going to get serious on my life. I'm going to get serious on cultivating a ritual in my life and not just digesting other people's art, not just intaking other people's stuff. Like, be a player on the field, not just someone in the stands. And that's a beautiful thing. So that's where you got to start, man. You kind of have like this vision, your will. You feel a will to do something. You feel potential, and you get started on a very small first step. You begin doing that. What came to my mind is, and be honest with me, man. Be honest. Like, how often do we drive our vehicles and we have our phone next to us and we check it? And it's a bad habit. Like, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be doing that. Even if it's just pulling up our Google Maps, we should be pulling off the side of the road, adjusting our navigation system, and then heading to our direction. We shouldn't be taking breaks where we pick up our phone and distract us. But if we're honest, like, it's very easy to do. And we know it's bad. We know we shouldn't do it, right? We know that is greatly enhancing our risk of getting into a car accident, right? But we just kind of, it's okay, I can handle it, it won't happen to me. And so we kind of lie to ourselves. We start to live in this illusion. But the same thing applies to our life. The point of that metaphor is to realize that many of us are going through our life, we're driving, we have this vision of where we want to go, but yet we constantly distract ourselves and we think to ourselves, it's okay, take it easy, moderation, no big deal. We see ourselves getting distracted. We see ourselves eating junk food, and yet that night we tell ourselves, tomorrow I'm going to eat less because I need to lose weight. Or tomorrow I'm going to eat more because I need to gain weight. And then it's all guessing work. We never put a plan down. We never have a strategy. So it's a repetitive state of distraction, a dispersing of our mental faculties, a dispersion of our focus to be distracted. And then we never really make progress. And it's tricky because I think in order to do that, you have to use your awareness. Sometimes in the morning, I'll actually sit down. I'll just sit down. And I've been really trying to take mornings more slowly. I don't try to rush the mornings. And what I'll do is I'll make a cup of coffee and I'll just have an empty notebook, a pen and a paper. And I'll just sit there and And I kind of got this idea when I was listening to Dorian Yates, an interview with him. And he said that every day he would, for like 20 years, he would record his workouts. For 20 years, he's got every workout logged in the book, written down. He can go back and see exactly what he was doing. And every day he would sit down and he would say, I'm gonna freaking crush it, man. I'm gonna freaking crush it. And I loved hearing that. It was like, dude, this is conviction, man. And he was in bodybuilding, but again, back to our lives, like we can kind of take from that and apply the same principle. He was gonna crush it, or he would say, this month I'm gonna add 10 pounds to my bench. I'm gonna add a quarter of an inch to my bicep, and then I'm gonna also improve the calves. So he had a mission, he had like a goal, a purpose. And that's why I say start with the body, make the body beautiful. Because what it does, it opens up this entire world where you start to get mastery. And you start to understand in this microcosm, like we were saying, I think that's what you would call it, this like sort of this smaller area of focus. You start to get discipline. You see, okay, I got to count my macros to really be a master at this, to be efficient. I got to track my progress. I have to be consistent for a long period of time. It's not just motivating, go to the gym, and then don't go to the gym for 5 days. It doesn't work. And so we take from that, and you start to see things differently. You start to see, wow, if I can do it this with my body, I can do this to also something else. And it gives you so much confidence, and it gives you a sense of purpose in your life, like a sense of joy. Really, it's such an undescribable sense of joy, because now you sort of enter the flow state and you have focus. And I think as men, we get depressed when we don't have focus. We really do. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When we don't have focus or reason to get up, we kind of slog along and we start to question our reason here. We start to fill our life with more distraction in hopes that we stumble upon something that provides us with a good feeling or meaning. And oftentimes we're left empty, and you can feel this. When I kind of got into playing some games this year, I was playing the Dark Souls games, and as good as they are, I actually only played one, and I played Bloodborne. As good as they are, I couldn't help but get this feeling of emptiness, of spending hours in a fantasy world where there was nothing else on the other side of that. It was just an experience, a good mental trip. Meanwhile, I was kind of noticing my posture was suffering. I was not getting shit done. I was sort of starting to get more in my head, because while I was occupied in this world, all of my mental energy was only working to figure out problems inside of this fantasy realm. So it became a giant distraction. And it became addicting, though, because whenever I was bored, whenever I was uncertain, I could just go in there and my brain would now have a focus. It would have something to go to. But the reward was very little. And so I really had to get real with myself. It was like, all right, like how much precedence am I going to give? How much importance am I going to give to these games? And it's kind of hard for me to really enjoy a game these days, because I feel that same feeling, man. You know what I mean? And I don't like it. So what I'm saying is that we can live our lives with that kind of like always getting distracted, always kind of picking up the phone in a sense. Metaphorically and, actually, the phone's a giant distraction, but whatever's distracting you in your life from having that daily ritual and from showing up and making a pact to yourself, hey, I'm gonna crush it today. Like I'm gonna actually push harder in the gym, and I'm gonna eat a bit more carbs today so that I can get bigger. And that's just one way. I mean, do this in your life, man. Like whatever it is. Like, you know what? I gotta get out of my parents' house. I'm gonna go look for apartments today. Like I'm gonna do it, man. And then I'm gonna get on the phone and I'm gonna call. Or you know what? That business idea I've been having, I'm I'm just going to take the first step and I'm going to buy my domain, or I'm going to sign up for this service. I'm going to collect emails or something. Like, I'm going to make it happen. You know, like it's a daily effort to continue to progress. Same with bodybuilding. It's all about progress. You progress with your nutrition, your lifts. You're constantly making progress. You're progressing with your sleep. You know, like your recovery, your supplementation. You're sort of becoming a master. You're becoming a magician. You're getting an understanding and a grip on things instead of just trying to just jump in and go about it with your limited energy and just kind of guess. You're playing a guessing game. So man, I'm telling you guys, like, it's such a good thing to eliminate the distractions, to really look at what is distracting you the most from doing those one or two things that you know to be of utmost importance, and then you just get rid of them. You just get rid of them. It's that simple. And you'll notice that at first you might be a little bored, you might be questioning yourself, but it's good. Your mind is a mind of power, and really it'll work for you instead of being your tormentor. It'll work for you. It'll help you, but you got to give it what it needs. You got to give it silence. You got to give it some good stimulus. You know, these like you could call beneficial leisure time. You got to hit the books. You know, you got to take in information slowly instead of where you're on the internet. You're just putting a fire hose to your brain, and it's just like messing you up. You're not really learning anything or understanding anything. It just puts you more in your head. When you don't really understand stuff, it's because it never really sunk in. It never became a part of you. In The Five Rings by Miyamoto Musashi, I think his name is, he's like, what you got to do is you learn, and then you forget you're learning, and you just be. Like, you kind of just, you take it in, you understand it, it sinks down into the mind, and then you go no mind. You kind of go back to your consciousness, almost like how I can yo-yo on camera. I don't even have to look because I'm not really like, it's already in there. The motor skills are already in there. So in a sense, it doesn't take any focus. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's really crucial for us men, creating a culture of strength this day and age, man. Let's stop getting distracted. Let's get rid of them where they are. And let's really live a heightened state of being. Let's live with vitality and virility and strength, man. Let's do it. So, you know, let's just do it. Let's do it. Let's feed our mind right. Let's feed our bodies. Let's train hard. Let's get serious. Let's put away the distraction, the dispersion of our mental energy, and let's get focused. Let's make a pact to ourselves and have conviction in life. All right, guys? I hope you enjoyed this message. I hope to see you soon. Let me know if you want to hear about anything, and I'll talk to you very soon, all right? Peace.